Federal judges across the ideological spectrum are increasingly at their wits' end with the disingenuous, bad faith representations of the Trump-Musk administration in court. Today, one judge telling Department of Justice lawyers, and I'm quoting here, "I am not going to abide by government officials saying what they really mean to the public and coming in here to court and telling me something different, like I'm an idiot. The court is not going to be gaslit." A judge in another case concluding that the DOJ team is essentially engaged in a fishing expedition at the Social Security Administration. Quote, "It has launched a search for the proverbial needle in the haystack without any concrete knowledge that the needle is actually in the haystack." And yet another judge displaying his frustration in a written order saying the government again evaded its obligations, giving a response that is woefully insufficient. That frustration spilling over into a hearing today with this same judge telling DOJ lawyers their filings have intemperate and disrespectful language that he never remembers seeing before from the government. Melissa Murray is a professor of law at New York University, co-host of the Strict Scrutiny podcast, along with Leah Lippman and my wife, Kate Shaw. She joins me now. Great to see you, Melissa.
Great to see you.
I just level set here. This is pretty uncommon for federal judges to talk this way about Department of Justice lawyers.
No, for sure. Department of Justice lawyers are typically repeat players before the courts where they practice, and these judges are used to a fairly high level of legal practice, which is why they can become so frustrated dealing with the very unorthodox responses that they're getting from the government now. So this is not surprising. These judges are used to a fair amount of deference, but they're also used to people who play by the norms, and this behavior is really far outside of the norm.
One of the things we saw the first time Trump around, particularly in this specific census case, which I'm not going to get into the details of, was basically what happened was the court was going, the Department of Justice lawyers would go into court and represent things that just pretty clearly weren't true. Like, they were kind of like lying about what had actually happened, what the government was up to, why it was up to. And ultimately, even the Supreme Court was like, we can't abide this. It seems like that is happening in multiple cases here, and judges are sick of it.
Well, I believe the point you're referring to is when the DOJ lawyer said to the court that the new census question was necessary to enforce the Voting Rights Act, which we on Strict Scrutiny use whenever we want to say something is totally bad, just bonkers.
Yeah, like plainly farcical. Everyone knows you're lying.
Yes. So that's true. But again, it's sort of the regularity with which this is coming up. This is not normal practice. To say that so-and-so is the head of DOJ when, in fact, the president in a public address before the entire gathered Congress says that, in fact, it's this billionaire who has been unelected, that doesn't really fly with federal judges who are, again, used to a certain level of deference and, more importantly, used to individuals coming before the court who have sworn to uphold the Constitution and take that duty seriously.
In the case of Judge Boasberg, who's the one who's ruling over this Alien Enemies Act cases, these are the sort of rendering Venezuelan asylum seekers to El Salvador's like notorious prison with zero process. He has been really at its wit's end because he's the one who said that it was insolent. I mean, the government basically has been coming into his court saying, we don't even have to tell you anything. We don't have to tell you anything. You can't review us grabbing people and sending them to a third-party country.
So there are two separate issues I think Judge Boasberg is dealing with here. One is the government's recalcitrance to abide by the basic strictures of procedural due process that require that individuals who are being deprived of their liberty, in this case, these individuals from Venezuela, who have certain rights, even if they are not necessarily here in the United States, lawfully,
they're human beings.
Well, they have procedural rights that have to be observed, and they have to have an opportunity to make a showing that if they're not being taken lawfully, if they aren't being taken with good reason, they have to be able to establish that. And those procedural protections aren't being followed. And then there's the separate question of whether these lawyers and the administration they represent are actually complying with what the judge says. The judge has asked them, please stop this, please turn the plane around. And they're like, who can make me, boo? Like, who can check me? Like, I mean, it's the Sheree Whitfield of presidential administrations.
The judge today was talking about the fact that basically the way this worked was the order was signed sort of in the dark of night, and the flight started right away. And he said, what's concerning to me is why was this proclamation essentially signed in the dark on Friday or Friday night or early Saturday morning, and then people were rushed onto planes, he said. It seems to me the only reason to do that is that you know it's a problem and you want to get them out of the country.
No, I mean, again, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see what is happening. And it was a very smart judge. She's like, listen, don't play in my face. Like, I've told you to do something. We have basic procedural protections. And again, I cannot emphasize this enough. These individuals may not be from this country, but these procedural protections are ones that they enjoy. They're ones that you and I enjoy. And if they can do this to these individuals and prevent them from being able to make their case about whether or not they are being lawfully deported, they could do it to any number of us in other circumstances.
I mean, to that point, if there is no way to get any kind of process or review when you are grabbed and sent to this place, then the government can make mistakes. For instance, today in the hearing, one of the lawyers for the plaintiff from the ACLU, Legal Alert, who's been on the program, said that the group that was sent to El Salvador included at least one man who was not Venezuelan, as well as some women, all of whom the Salvadoran government declined to accept and were instead returned to the United States. In other words, in court, the government didn't admit this. The ACLU says you, by your own crazy metrics, which are already suspect, made mistakes here.
No, I mean, that's the whole point. We recognize that institutions are not necessarily infallible, that there will be mistakes, that there can be mistakes. And this is why you have these protections that allow people to have a hearing, to provide evidence of that the fact that they have not been engaged in wrongdoing, to show that maybe the government has it wrong here. But all of those protections have completely flown out the window. And again, those are the same protections that you and I enjoy. And if they can play fast and loose with the protections for those people, they can do it for anyone.
Yeah. So far, I think the courts have been quite resilient, at least at the district court level, right? Wouldn't you say in applying the Constitution and basically saying, like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
The question is whether that continues as they climb the appellate ladder.
So that is certainly a question as they rise, as they get to the Supreme Court, whether that's going to hold. But I cannot emphasize enough. If the point here is that we are going to rely on institutions like the court to protect us, this is really slim pickings here. Like, the courts are slow. They are deliberative, and that is by design. This three-part system of government whereby each branch checks each other was meant to work such that all of the branches were working in concert. We have Congress that has essentially left the field, completely abdicated its duties. It cannot be the case that, given that void, the courts can step in and fill it. It's too big.
Melissa Murray, thank you very much.
Thank you.